Agent Romanoff. You miss me?
Oh yeah, Charles, we got ourselves an X-Men fan.
Captain.
Your Highness.
Captain, big fan, Spiderman. Hey everyone.
Hey guys, and welcome to Film Artsy, your number one source for all things films and movies. My name is Elijah, and we've recently been talking about all the hype surrounding Marvel Phase 4, which has officially been announced at San Diego Comic-Con so far, which has been really exciting just to see everyone just finally having the timeline as to what's coming in the future in the MCU finally kind of labeled. And now we've talked about the possibility of Phase 4 maybe having two parts to it, but there's also the likelihood that after 2 years they might just want to go ahead and announce what the next movies are going to be in a Phase 5 type announcement. But fortunately enough, just from this Comic-Con alone, there's been enough information revealed about the future of the MCU long term that we can actually piece together the likely 5 or 6 movies that would be coming in Phase 5. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of these movies that we already know are officially happening as of this Comic-Con. First up, we have sequel movies coming to several different film series that have already existed in the MCU. If you look at the current slate of movies in Phase 4, we really don't have any follow-up movies outside of Thor, Love and Thunder that are direct sequels to other movies in the MCU, and Doctor Strange, which Doctor Strange, while it is a sequel, it is kind of its own standalone movie that's going to have very different themes with it. So it is a sequel, it does follow Doctor Strange, and it's actually going to have the Scarlet Witch in it also, but it's definitely going down a different route. Kind of how Thor Ragnarok was completely different from Thor the Dark World. So we do have some follow-ups, but we don't have any like heavy hitters in the same sense as Thor, Love and Thunder, and some of these other movies that we thought we were going to see in Phase 4. So we know already that Black Panther 2 and Captain Marvel 2 are in development. We don't have any idea on the release date, but we're probably assuming that these would be some of the first movies featured in Phase 5, as we believe Phase 5 will build up into the next Avengers movie. More on that in a second though. So we'll be really curious to see what they end up deciding to do. With Captain Marvel, they easily could tell a story that still takes place in the past, or they can tell a number of stories that take place in current times. It'd be really interesting to see what this character has been up to, or what this character typically does as of 2023 or whatever year it's all based in nowadays after the snap. So that'll be really an interesting way to see things, and by the time a new Avengers movie comes out, we might actually be able to get the timeline caught up to what the real time is, since the new Spider-Man movie takes place technically 5 years into the future. With that, we also would see Black Panther 2, and there's a ton of information there which we're curious about, because what has happened to Wakanda when the Black Panther technically was dead for 5 years? Did they have a new king? And if they had a new king, how does that conflict when the old king comes back? If you remember from the first Black Panther movie, that's a major issue, is that when a king dies, they have to replace the king. So it'll be interesting to see what they end up deciding to do with that in Phase 5 as well. Then we have some new movies that are going to be coming that we are really excited about. We had the official announcement of Blade, which was a really big movie back in the 90s, and it's cool that they're going to be rebooting the series and making an adaptation to Blade sometime in Phase 5 also. We think this would be one of the earliest ones that would release in the newer phase. And we also have an official confirmation that FantasticFour will also be joining the MCU finally, which I'm so excited for, just because the FantasticFour are a group of characters that really need to be done right again. I actually enjoyed the older Fantastic Four movies that came out back in the mid 2000s, and I think if there's enough attention to detail, and the MCU has a good track record with that, these could be really great characters to fall in love with, and some new characters that people can kind of relate to, which would be really awesome. And then down the road, it looks like Guardians of the Galaxy 3 has also been confirmed. We knew James Gunn was brought back on, so this isn't really new news, but we do know he has other obligations, so this might be one of the final movies in the MCU's Phase 5 before we finally actually get to see Return to Guardians of the Galaxy. But maybe having that much time to just let the episode sit, or maybe just having enough time to let the movie sit for a while and have the creatives work on it on a longer scale, might actually let this movie be even better received all these years later. And then, of course, this one's not one anyone's really talking about, but we are pretty sure that Spider-Man Homecoming 3 will also be released in Phase 5, as they're on a typical 2-year schedule release. We had the first one in 2017, then we had this one in 2019 with Far From Home, so we're looking at a 2021 release date, which easily could work out really well and lead us with another Spider-Man movie. And then finally, during one of the interviews at Comic-Con, we had confirmation that they are currently in the early stages of putting together the new Avengers team. So that'll be really interesting to see who is actually in the team that will be the new Avengers, and if they decide to call the next Avengers movie the new Avengers, which I'm down for that title. I think it'd be really nice to kind of pivot and make it a different type of team after Endgame kind of closed that arc. The one set of characters that I'm really curious still about, though, is what's going to happen with AntMan and the Wasp. We really don't have any confirmation that they're going to be in Phase 4 or Phase 5, and those characters are really likable. So we'll have to see if either they play a sidekick role in another movie or if they will get a third movie. Originally they were signed on to do 3 main Ant-Man movies, so we don't know if that was maybe canceled, because technically Ant-Man and the Wasp, it does have a much lower budget than other MCU movies, but the performance in the box office isn't as high as some of them. But I still think they make enough money off of them with the lower budget that it should even out. So we'll be curious to see what happens with them. There's other characters in the MCU we still don't know much about, like the Incredible Hulk. He's kind of in limbo because he doesn't have a Netflix show coming out and he's not necessarily listed in a movie yet. So maybe it's time to see him once again. And a couple other characters here and there that we really don't know what's going on with them, but we'll be curious to see what happens. But anyways, guys, that's it for today. Are you excited for Phase 4 and Phase 5? Let us know in the comments down below. Which movie are you the most excited for? And be sure to subscribe with notifications on for more videos like this. We'll see you all next time with a brand new video.
I'm about to.
Hi, everybody.
Hey, everybody. How you doing?
Hi.
See you guys.
Know anybody?